understand the seriousness of the obesity epidemic that has developed over the last few decades and the extremely dangerous results that it imposes on our society. I must state that I agree with the information which my opponent provided regarding the highly negative effects of obesity. It is true that it is directly linked to the increased risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases such as heart attacks and strokes, and various cancers, which in turn kill a ridiculous amount of people every year and place a huge burden on the lives of millions more. Me and my opponent seem to agree that obesity has an immense potential to ruin lives, and as our youth is more and more affected by it every day, it is a problem that will continue to take lives without any mercy unless the government interferes and properly pushes the fight against it. Even though I understand that the proposition means well, I must say that I do not think they should receive an affirmative vote because of two related reasons. First off, I do not think the policy proposed is enough to combat such a powerful epidemic as obesity, and further, that it will not effectively reduce the consumption of sugary drinks by children and teens, which is my opponent's intended goal. Second, if it is enacted into legislation and ends up being a failure, it could possibly discourage the development of other, more effective policies that could have better results at controlling the dangers of obesity. As the proposition stated, the ban on sugary drinks would only cut out a portion of the overall daily sugar consumption in children and teens. As seen in an essay cited by my opponent, in elementary schools where the availability of soft drinks was limited, the consumption of any soft drinks only declined by a mere 4%. In research published in the Archives of Pediatrics and Adolescent Medicine, a study that tracked students from 5th through 8th grade reported that 85% of those students consumed a sugary drink regardless of whether their school had banned them or not. This only seems to prove the very common saying that kids will be kids, which is what would make the proposed ban ineffective at reducing sugary drink consumption. As my opponent stated, the ban would create a window of time in which students would not be able to consume sugary drinks, but children, and especially adolescents, are age groups which by nature are rebellious and almost never want to do as they are told, which is exactly what a ban tries to get them to do. The proposed ban would not instill ideas of better nutrition and healthy living as my opponent suggests. Instead, it would encourage students to do as they please and go against the flow and still go out of their way to get sugary drinks, and in this case now, to break the rules and be cool, which is very often an incentive for kids to do certain things. And even if the ban was more effective than it has shown, kids would probably look to consume sugary drinks anywhere, whenever they are out of school. Instead of just enacting a ban that doesn't seem to have the powerful and positive effects that are needed to fight the obesity problems, which is my opponent's intentions, I think that it could be a better idea to enact a policy that not only targets schools, but also all providers of sugary drinks to kids. Something great could be a tax on the sale of sugary drinks, which could in turn make them comparatively more expensive than their way healthier and more nutritious counter options. This could encourage students to not spend more money on the expensive sugary drinks and thus drive them to pick and buy the healthier drinks. Instead of prohibiting sugary drinks in schools and imposing choices on students who very often want to act exactly against what they are told, a tax would provide kids with economic incentives to go for the healthier option while subconsciously teaching them that the healthier option is in fact better and should always be the one they go for. There are other options that, similarly to mine, but unlike the proposed ban, do not directly offset the powerful, rebellious nature of kids. So my point is to highlight the great negative essence of the proposed ban, which could actually end up clouding the opportunity for other policies to utilize schools as a base for the war against the obesity epidemic